latest ruling?
Well, it's mixed reactions through Akisa, if I can tell you. Some people saying that the primary case was murder or abated murder. Terrorism just came in as an additional case. And the fact that all of the people who were arrested and have been in custody were exempted or acquitted for charges of murder and abated murder. Many more people think the people who killed and murdered Sheikh Bahiga and Sheikh, the Muslim clerics who have so far been killed in Uganda, justice has not been found. So the question is, who murdered these Muslim clerics? The fact that all the people that the police arrested and handed over to be prosecuted were set free on all the charges of murder and acquitted murder. Matter of fact, today there is a press conference which perhaps is going on right now from some of the family members of the Muslim clerics who were murdered, many of them calling for justice and shouting out loud that the police needs to make sure that they apprehend the people who murdered their loved ones and bring them to book. But let's look at the bigger picture. The conviction yesterday and the life sentencing of Sheikh Yunus Kamoga, who is also the leader of the Tabligh sect here in Uganda. It leaves mixed reactions. Think about it. The Tablighs are warning that they're going to retaliate in the sentence that, of course, was given to their leaders. Many of them are saying that something may happen very, very soon. Of course, the defense attorney, Fred Moema, saying that they will appeal the ruling to the highest court in the land, which is the Supreme Court. Matter of fact, they have been filing that appeal, and they would be soon going to the Court of Appeal to challenge the decision of the International Crimes Division of the High Court. But Akisa, if I can just tell you this, that the issue of terrorism, ask any legal mind here and they'll tell you that the Anti-Terrorism Act is one that needs to be looked into, to be revised if it's going to really take root. These people, according to some lawyers that we managed to talk to before we came on air, some of them are saying that the whole evidence that was based on to convict these people was not substantial enough to relate them to terrorism. But, well, the International Crimes Division of the High Court made the ruling, and that ruling, Akisa, can only be challenged in the Court of Appeal.
Well, Solomon, thank you for that update. But I believe you're joining us live from Parliament. Just give us an update on what really we expect to come out of today's session. What's big in Uganda?
Well, members of parliament have been a little bit slow on the ruling. If you ask some of them here, many of them say we don't want to comment on this case because the issue of, of terrorism is very, very slippery, especially relating it to Muslims. And the whole argument has been, what can the Muslim community do to sort of change the narrative that they are terrorists? Because the ruling by court stamps that the whole narrative that Muslims are terrorists. And the fact that we have a terrorist now, by the way, is now called a terrorist because he's a convict in custody, then what happens to the security of the nation? So some of the MPs have been wondering the fact that there's a terrorist in custody, what happens to the security of the nation at large? But also the one of the big issues here on the agenda of discussion is the sugar bill, which is like the sugar policy here. MPs are questioning. Sometimes I'll tell you that when there's a sugar crisis here in Uganda, a kilo can go as high as 8,000 shillings, Ugandan shillings, which is something that MPs think is masterminded by the people who are in this business. There's this whole argument that the manufacturers manufacture sugar and they keep it until when there's scarcity, then they release it and they put it at a high price. So the whole argument that there are some key individual people within the sugar industry managing the way the business is done without any observation from perhaps the August Assembly needs to stop, so that it's a free market economy. But MPs believe that a sugar policy will come in handy to address the hiking of sugar prices here in Kampala. So it's one of the stories that we're closely following from the August Assembly, Akisa.
Thank you. That's our correspondent joining us live from Kampala, Uganda, Solomon Serwanja. Let's now go to Angola, where Angolans are today voting in a general election.